Hello again. My name is Wayne Marinovich, your online resilience coach. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you about something that's very dear to each and every one of us, and that's happiness. We, no matter where we are in our lives, we always aspire to it. We've been told to aspire to it. It's been conditioned into us that this is some kind of dream that we need to get to, is being happy. If you ask any parent, what do you most want for your children? It'll be, oh, I just want them to be happy. We'll get to that. I think one of the key things to happiness, and what we'll talk about, is understand the difference between happiness, the goal or the outcome, and happiness, the journey, because there is a very distinct thing, and not knowing the difference is making a lot of people really unhappy, I think, in the world. Progress is a secret sauce. That's it. It's that simple. It's knowing and understanding progress as you go through life. We all want and we all yearn for happiness, as I said. And this is now more than ever been driven by keeping up with the Joneses concept, right? We have Instagram, we have all these incredible channels which feed us the successes of others and how they're living these incredible lives by a little click, a little button or an icon or something like that in a little corner of their grid as they're enjoying a life that we only think is the end of it. We don't see that that's just the tip of the iceberg, that all the trauma and all the hardships that they've been through, they don't talk about. And I think that's very misguiding to us and to younger people, men and women in this world. We sold that happiness is this big shiny thing that we must strive for. And yeah, you'll get there. In the end, you'll get there. But it's not that at all. Even by that logic, what happens when you get there? What next? I think if you look at Usain Bolt, he trained for so long to run that 100 in the 9 seconds. And then what was that afterwards? Yes, he's got the medals to show his pride for it. But he'll never recapture that euphoria that he got at those seconds afterwards, or running around when he getting all the accolades and the love from the crowd. That will never happen again. And I think one of the things we need to get our head around is that, and I'll say this many times to this video, is it's the journey. It's cliched, I know, but the happiness is the journey, not the end result. We don't know when we're going to pass on, right? We know our fixed date when we started. We have our birth date. The flexibility of our end date means we don't know. We can't plan that kind of thing. So yes, I agree. Happiness is the path and the journey, but it comes off the back of progress, and this progress is very simply little small improvements on a daily, on a weekly, on a monthly basis. It's all fine to have the long-term goals, the end of the horizon goals as I coach, where you're thinking big. As I always say, David Schwartz has got a great book called The Magic of Thinking Big. It's an incredible book that teaches you not to look at the details, but to have your horizon goals so big that they scare you. If somebody else looks at those horizon goals and they start joking and they're sniggering at them, you're probably thinking big enough. If you're not scared of them, you're not thinking big enough. I think one of the great things, to give an example of little improvements to paint a fuller picture, is the simple brick, right? Bricklayers, construction workers will hold a brick in their hand, and in of itself, it's just a piece of stone, right? We've manufactured. But when you lay it next to another one, and more, and a second, and a third, and a fourth, and a fifth, over time, those individual little bricks form the house. It doesn't magically happen overnight. You can't wish it into existence. It's a lot of small, repetitive steps, and that need to be done to achieve a fuller picture. And that's the whole purpose here. And I'll explain soon. The joy comes in those little steps. I just want to read a quote from an ancient Greek philosopher, a Stoic philosopher called Epictetus. Progress is not achieved by luck or by accident, but by working on yourself daily. Really, really good. I enjoy that. It comes back to, the secret sauce to this all is progress, and not major progress. Stop thinking, stop trying to have your goals, your immediate goals, too big. Horizon goals I talk about in the coaching, those are the long-term visions for your life. They're there to give you direction. the monthly goals, the daily goals, the weekly goals, those are there for clarity. Okay, they work together, and I think part of the most important thing is understanding the happiness around everything you do. Firstly, on the opposite side of the happiness, we have this incredible brain, and I love studying the brain, even though it's just self-study. We have this incredible thing, the limbic system, which has a simple role, is to look for threats. That's it. Its sole function is to look for threats, and then it primes you for which you've heard of before, the fight or flight concept. And I think that's an amazing concept in itself, that it's evolved over centuries, over thousands, 100,000 of years. We don't have anything that does that similar reverse role, the opposite role for happiness. There is no part of the brain that its sole role is to provide you and I with happiness. That is our responsibility. We need to actively plan our happiness, and that's by goals and by taking on new activities or new tasks that we want to achieve. However, and I'll just read through some of the things now, there are some what they call happy hormones: serotonin, endorphins, oxytocin, and dopamine. These are natural hormones that get released and interact with our brain that give us this elation, this euphoria when we achieve something. And I think these are those little nudges that keep us going back for more, if you understand what I'm saying. So setting yourself some goals and finding steps to make up the process to reach goals is where the happiness is found. Is, for example, as a published author, I write novels. I basically plan it out roughly, and then I write the first draft. The first draft is in the industry what they call a vomit draft. It literally is just blurt it out, get it down on paper, and then the hard work of being an author starts, and that's editing successive manuscripts. These are what I'm talking about, those little goals, those little improvements that get you to the goal of publishing, and the euphoria of going, yay, I'm published. And even more is if you become a bestseller in a category. So each one of those successive edits, and think about it, essentially I'm reading a novel 8 or 9 times back to back, and it's hard work. I mean, nobody would do that normally in the same story, but as authors we do that because we understand this change in story, how each particular manuscript gets better, each particular character grows, the villains become more evil, the heroines and heroes become better at combating that, and become better human beings and able to tolerate a lot more adversity. And so in the end, you publish and you have this incredible feeling that you've done something big, all because of those little improvements. Now, one of the things I take back a long way to the early 90s, I was in a previous job, I was in production, I stumbled onto something in a Japanese philosophy called Kaizen, which via Toyota, who had this incredible marketing concept for their cars, which was there is no best, only better. And it really sunk in. You can never be the best. You can only be a little bit better than you were. The real Kaizen philosophy actually is continuous, unending improvement, little steps. Just keep doing small improvements every day, and over time, you'll see massive transformations, really big transformations. And this is the thing. There is no overnight miracles in anything we do, despite what Instagram successful people tell you. This is not Amazon Prime. You don't just click a button and magically everything you wanted or everything you wanted to achieve or learn is in place. It doesn't work like that. Personal growth is really important. For example, if you're not a very confident person, you can't suddenly go and book a TED Talk and give a TED Talk or go and do a speech in front of 500 people if you can barely speak to a single person. So what you do is, and I know this, so you coach it, is you just start by holding eye contact with strangers when you're walking down the street. Hold eye contact for a second, let them hold eye contact, let your eyes meet, and then you let it go. You don't want to stalk them, so don't be too weird about it. But that's how you start. You do that for a couple of weeks. Then when you're in a store and you're talking to the checkout person who's ringing up your goods or whatever, have a conversation, hold eye contact, talk about the price of bananas, the ridiculous price of clothing. It's all about building on yourself, little small improvements, And then you'll, before you know it, you'll be talking confidently to 2 or 3 people. And that's where you grow. You'll start to feel better. And that small little step of confidence allows you to grow even further. We see a lot, in the self-help industry like this. We've all done it. We've all read an incredible book of Tony Robbins or Jack Canfield or one of these legends. And we read it, you get involved in it, you get fired up in it, you take notes, you do the exercises, you make your plans, like how you're going to live the rest of your life, and then you finish the book and life hits you smack in the face with all kinds of issues, daily issues, weekly issues, and all these little turning points that really hamper you, and suddenly you think it's not worth it, and guess what? Nothing changes. One of the things I do coach a lot of is looking back to this time last year. Do the exercise now. If you haven't grown a little bit from this last year to this year, there's something wrong, right? You don't want to be in the same position this time next year where you're still struggling. Make the plans, put the goals further past so that you actively every day are trying to do little things rather than trying to fix something in one go. I think nothing says that more than, getting into shape. If you're a couch potato, and I've been there, you suddenly don't decide, I'm going to run a marathon tomorrow. And people have done it, I know, but it doesn't work that simply for most of us. You need to get up and go for a walk a couple of times a week. Then you go for a walk every day, and then you start jogging slowly. And within 6-7 months, you've done a marathon. Slow little bits, endless little successes. Every day you get that endorphin rush when you come back from your 3 or 4 kilometers going, yeah, that's cool. Suddenly you're running 10 kilometers on a Saturday. That endorphin rush, each of those little successes is where happiness is found along the road. I'm passionate about learning. Anybody who knows me knows I have this stupid kind of curiosity about everything. And I've always maintained the secret to life is continual learning, curiosity. Otherwise, you just become sedentary in your thinking and your belief that I don't have to do anything, just find my level, find my peace, and I don't have to grow anymore. And I think nothing says finding growth and continue growing than being a child, right? You don't know how to walk, you sit in your butt, you see other kids running around, you go, okay, I'll have some of that. You get up and start walking, and you fall and you walk, and eventually you got it. Then you go into, riding a bicycle. You see kids out there on a bike, you go, I want some of that. And guess what? You start by trying to balance, and you fall over, you graze yourself, you might have a cry if you're a kid, and then guess what? Suddenly you got it, and you slowly can keep your balance, and just by little movements aside. And then you know what? You start to look at the kids who are really recycling faster, and then you start to pick up your speed, and then it's no longer big balance shift, but just little micro adjustments, those little pieces that help you go forward. Learning a new instrument, starting a new learning a new language. It takes time, but then the happiness comes when you can play a song or a couple of chords, or you go into a bar in Spain and speak Spanish to the innkeeper. I think those kind of processes we don't no longer believe are possible because we just see the end result. One of the great things about this, and I'll just read another quote from Jeff Olson. Some quit due to slow progress, never grasping the fact that slow progress is progress. It's that simple. It just any kind of progress is good as long as it's in the right towards some of your goals. So have those horizon goals, which I coach about, big things, and then have the little goals that allow you along the way to check that you're still on course. There's no magical finish line in this life, isn't it? There's where we have happiness guaranteed. In fact, there's a lot of people that happiness never came to them because they just didn't see it as the everyday bits, the journey, the lot of little steps and a lot of little problems that occur. And so the progress through whatever you're doing, just put aside those high ambitions to be happy, and just understand that happiness comes from just becoming better every single day. Thank you for watching. Please like the video if you did, and subscribe and hit the notification bell. And I wish you well. I wish you peace and a lot of good beer.